We are on the record for hearings in the matters listed in the North Dakota Industrial Commission hearing docket for October 30th. I'm David Garner, hearing examiner for these hearings. We're at the hearing room for the Department of Mineral Resources, Oil and Gas Division, and it is 9 a.m. On the docket, the following matters will be continued or dismissed. Case number 31248 continued. Case number 31192 dismissed. Case number 31251 continued. Case number 31257 dismissed. Case number 31186 continued. Case number 31187 continued. Case number 31188 continued. Case number 31264 continued. Case number 31265 continued. Case number 31266 continued. Case number 31267 continued. Case number 31238 continued. Case number 31269 continued. Case number 31285 dismissed. Case number 31294 dismissed. Case number 31295 dismissed. Case number 31296 dismissed. The administrative docket starts on page 7 with case number 31268 and goes through case number 31298. These cases will be heard in the next room with Michael Zish. Audio recordings of the cases on the administrative docket will be placed on the Oil and Gas website by the end of the week. If you wish to appear on one of the matters in the administrative docket, please appear in the next room. If there is opposition to the matter, it will be brought back into this hearing room to be heard, and your statements and evidence will be taken. We will begin with moving to case number 31246, an application of Burlington Resources Oil and Gas Company, LP, for an order amending the applicable orders for the North Fork Bakken Pool to allow the OLE 9-1-29 MBH well to be drilled and completed in such fashion that portions of the wellbore may be less than 500 feet from the eastern boundary of the spacing unit consisting of sections 17, 20, 29, and 32, Township 149 North, Range 96 West, McKenzie County, North Dakota, as an exception to the applicable well location requirements or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Burlington Resources Oil and Gas Company, LP. I have two witnesses appearing telephonically in this case, Mark Salvi and Jake Johnson.
Mr. Salvi.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Mark, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes. Mark Salvi. I'm a staff land negotiator at ConocoPhillips Company. Our business address is 935 North Eldridge Parkway, Houston, Texas 77079.
And Mark, have you previously testified before this commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And Mark, are you familiar with the land matters associated with this hearing?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Salvi be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Mark, let's start with exhibit number 1, where the case is for an exception location for the OLE 9-1-29 MBH well. Can you just use that exhibit and identify the well and then the spacing unit it's on, as well as the adjoining spacing unit?
Yes. So the OLE 9-1-29 MBA is based on a 4-section DSU consisting of sections 17, 20, 29, 32, and Township 149 North, 96 West. The well in question is the blue well towards the far east of the DSU. And then the adjacent DSU is XTO's fully federal DSU consisting of sections 28 and 33.
And Mark, I believe you're familiar with in exception location cases, there's certain notice requirements, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
And you're aware that in accordance with the commission rules 430203, 18.1, that there's a requirement that you mail notice of the application to any working interest owners, unleased mineral owners, or any of Burlington Resources lessors in the adjoining property that may be impacted. You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. And with assistance of counsel, did you provide that notice to those owners in the 28 and 33 spacing unit?
Yes, we did.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Selvey. I'd offer exhibit number 1.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Jake, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed and what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, this is Jake Johnson. Work for ConocoPhillips. I'm a senior drilling engineer. Business address is 935 North Eldridge Parkway, Houston, Texas 77079.
And Jake, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
And had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
Okay. And Jake, are you familiar with the Ole 91-29 MBH well and the drilling of that well?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'd move the testimony of Mr. Johnson be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Jake, let's start with your exhibit number 2 and maybe identify for us the well at issue, and then also explain to us, what happened, how we ended up crossing the 500-foot setback hard line.
Yes, so in Exhibit 2 here, you see that'll be the blue well. The dark blue well identified here is the Ole 9-129 MBH, and the dashed line here, which indicates the 500-foot setback to the eastern lease line. So you see here where we crossed it, entering at 19,200 foot, coming back across at 20,469 foot here. So kind of going into what happened here. So the issue arose here due to differences in how the hard line is being calculated between ConocoPhillips and the NDIC. The NDIC's got clear guidelines on how they calculate it using rectangular coordinate systems, so that's the Cartesian coordinate system. Basically, to calculate your hard line compliance based on the north, south, east, west distances from the wellhead. So with how this is calculated, surface hole is 1,968 foot from the east line. We would subtract out 500 foot from there, which would give you a hard line of 1,468 foot from the wellhead. So during the execution of the work, we use the section line callouts from the well plans to take into consideration for the hard line. So our well plan called out that at landing point, we were 568 foot from east line and 550 foot from east line at bottom location. So based on this, we were under the assumption that we had 68 foot left of plan at landing point and 50 foot left of plan at our bottom location from that hard line. So that was the assumption during the drilling phase, which caused the issue. So we took what we thought was a conservative approach and set our drilling window to be 30 foot left of plan max, which would have left 20 foot buffer. Unfortunately, the differences with how the hardline calculations are done between using rectangular coordinate systems and actually using the bearing of the section lines, there was some discrepancies on how that was. So the hardline was acknowledged and steps were taken to try to avoid it, but due to the differences in the hardline calculations, we still had the issue. And for about 1,269 foot, we're outside that hard line. So we crossed over at a max 3.5 foot over the hard line and averaged about 1.4 foot outside that hard line across that interval.
And Jake, just looking at Exhibit 3, does that kind of reflect what you've just stated about, kind of where you crossed and for how long? And then I think you indicated you're approximately 3.5 feet at the most.
Yeah, so that's what that is. That's a zoomed-in version. It's kind of hard to tell exactly where it is just because of the, the minimum distance that was across the line. But yes, looking in at a zoomed-in approach, we crossed over that line at 19,200 foot, came back at 20,469.
So Jake, going forward, have you sort of implemented anything, any type of procedure, anything to ensure that when you look at the setback and calculate that setback, that you do it in accordance with, how the commission does, like you've indicated?
Yes, the lessons learned definitely have been shared within the entire drilling organization, both from the engineering and operations staff. And the hard lines now are entirely based on the Cartesian coordinate system that the NDIC uses. So, and all this verifies that's listed in the APDs that are sent out. So we are double checking everything with that. The hard lines are then re-communicated during our pre-spud meeting. And then once we're actually executing the wells, we have pre-curve and pre-lateral meeting, and that is being communicated there as well. And then this information is all being reviewed by the engineering, operations, land and regulatory side. So.
Okay. So Jake, with the minimal, distance crossed on the hard line, and the fact that you've also got a lease line, well in there, do you have any concern at all with this Ole 9-129 MBH well producing, more oil than it would otherwise be entitled to?
Especially with the lease line well we also have in place, we do not.
So you have no concerns with any impacts to the correlative rights of any owners in 28 or 33?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Jake, did you say the depth that you first exited the hard line was 19,200?
Yes.
Is that the exact depth?
I believe to the decimal point was calculated at, I'd have to look at the exact email they sent out. I believe it was like 19,199 in to decimal points, but that is an approximation.
And re-entry was 20,469?
Yes, sir.
When,
So, okay, the exact depth was 19,199.74, and reentry was 20,469.43.
when did you become aware that you exited the hard line? Was this an internal review, or were you notified by the NDIC?
It was from notification from the NDIC.
So while drilling, the field staff thought you were within the hard lines.
That is correct. So we had set up the drilling window to be 30 foot left of plan, and based on our hardline assumptions, we believe that gave us a 20-foot buffer. A text was actually sent by myself to the directional team when we were right around 19,200 foot, because we were at 28 foot left of plan, so we were getting close to where our drilling window was. So I sent a text reminding the team saying, hey, let's start making our way back right. We get a chance. We were focused on inclination due to being a middle Bakken well to avoid the shale. But so the discussion was had, and they made their way back over. Unfortunately, due to the differences in how the hard lines were calculated, we were just exiting that at that point over the hard line. So we were not aware that we actually formally crossed the hard line until after the well was drilled and completed, and we got the notice from the NDIC.
Okay, thank you.
Jake, the well has been completed at this point, correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
And when was the completion done?
The completion occurred, I don't have the exact date on the completion, but it was, I think, 2 to 3 months after the well was drilled. I can get the exact date and we can submit that.
I'm sure I'd hope we have the completion report at this point. I am I don't have it in front of me right now either, but, yeah, it looks like it was completed August 4th of 24. Can you give me the total footage that the well bore is currently outside the hard line? I think you said it once, but I just want to make sure I wrote it down right.
The total footage is 1,269.69 feet.
And as far as how far over, the maximum that you get over that hard line would be?
The maximum was 3.54. And I calculated the average to be around between 1.4 to 1.5 foot across that hard line.
Okay. And that portion of the lateral that's outside of the hard line is towards the toe of the well, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Can you give us a little bit of information as far as what type of remediation would be needed to not be producing across that hard line?
So the only remediation that would be able to not produce from that section at this point would be to set some sort of plug down hole and cut off the entire lateral beneath that point, which would be several thousand feet of lateral that would then go unproduced. So due to the fact that it's already been completed and at this point, that would be the only remedial option.
And that's, so the total lateral that would have to be abandoned would be how many feet?
The total lateral footage. Let me grab the TD of this well. But it would be. That would be, the TD is 21,088, so we crossed that. So it'd be almost 2,600 foot.
2,600 feet of a 20,000 foot lateral, or sorry, 10,000 foot lateral?
Yes, so almost 25%.
And that would be a significant reduction in the productivity of the well?
Yes, sir. From a total production and reserve standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna request that you supplement the record with an as-built schematic of the wellbore. Looking for primarily completion information along with the 7-inch shoe depth and location to the nearest section line. And then the first perf from the shoe location from the nearest section line and the measured depth. And then the last perf at the heel, the measured depth, and then the location from the nearest section line.
Okay, we can definitely supplement that.
Thank you.
Wait, how long do you think you need for that?
Jake, how long do you think we would need to get that put together for filing with the commission?
We can have it by the end of the week, definitely. Probably by the end of the day, if needed.
So we just get a
Take a
week
week.
from today?
That's fine. So the record in this case will remain open till November 5th, is that right? 6th,
6th.
November 6th. And that concludes our hearing for case number 31246. Case number 31247, application of Murex Petroleum Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the Daneville Bakken Pool to establish two overlapping stand-up 1920 acre space units described as sections 112 and 13 and sections 23, 26, and 35, Township 161 North, Range 102 West, Divide County, North Dakota, and authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on each such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Murex Petroleum. I'll have two witnesses appearing telephonically. I need to call them. It'll be Sam Jim Fortone and Scott Nonhoff. Sam, Scott, can you hear me? All right. Got him on.
Mr. Nonhoff.
Sam will be first, Jim Fortone.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jim Fortone.
Yes.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Sam, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed and what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, Sam Jimpertone, land manager for Murex Petroleum Corporation. Address is 1700 City Plaza Drive, Suite 575, Spring, Texas 77389.
And Sam, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes,
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
yes,
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with this hearing?
yes.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Jim Fortone be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Sam, let's start with Exhibit 1, if I can just have you identify the area that we're looking at.
Yes, Exhibit 1 is the general location map for Township 161 North, Range 102 West.
Okay. And then let's go ahead and move on to Exhibit number 2, and if you can identify each of the proposed 1920s.
Yeah. So Section 11213 as a stand-up 1920, and then Section 23, 26, and 35 as the second stand-up 1920.
Okay. And let's move on to your working interest in those proposed spacing units, starting Exhibit number 3 and that 11213.
Sure. Yes. C112 already there with the existing wellbore. That's the layout of the existing 1280. Section 13 is the ownership there. As of the date that this was set up, there we are in active discussions as far as leasing in 13. And then 112 and 13 would be the new setup at the time of this map as it was created, but that will change as we continue to move forward with our leasing.
Sure. Let's move on then to Exhibit number 4, and if you can take us through the working interest in that proposed spacing unit.
Yes. Again, 23 there, the ownership as it currently exists with Coda Resources, and then Murex in our 1280, that's the owner there. The rest, there's some others in there. It's open acreage. And then the ownership of the 1920 is set out for 23, 26, and 35. The last diagram there.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer Exhibits 1 through 4.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Looking at Exhibit 2, 14 and 23 are currently spaced as a 1280. Would you want that terminated?
Yes.
And then I don't know if this is a question for you or maybe the engineering witness, but what would the plan then be for Section 14 development?
Yeah, 211,
Scott, maybe let's just wait until you testify, and then you can cover it when we go through your development map. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
sounds good. Thank you.
Sam, while you are on the line, do you know what Murex's ownership is in 14?
I don't have that in front of me, but I can provide that.
Okay. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess what the proposal is gonna be, so I'm gonna ask that you maybe provide that, ownership in 211 and 14.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Nonhoff,
yes,
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
yes, sir.
Scott, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed in what capacity, and give us your business address?
My name is Scott Nonhoff. I'm Vice President of Reservoir Engineering for Murex Petroleum Corporation. Our address is 1500 City Place Plaza Drive, Suite 575, Spring, Texas 77389.
And Scott, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
I have.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Nonhoff be received as that of an expert in this case.
Motion granted.
And Scott, let's start with exhibit number 5. Can you just describe the structure underlying these proposed spacing units?
Exhibit 5 is just simply a structure map showing the southeast dip of the structure across the acreage in question.
Okay. And moving on to exhibit 6, can you just point out where you've got the wells used for your cross-section?
Yeah, we're utilizing wells from A to A prime on the cross section on exhibit 6.
Okay, and then if I can have you flip to exhibit number 7, if you can walk us through your cross-section.
So the two wells from the cross section show the continuity of the Bakken throughout the interval at about 55 feet across the total trend area for the acreage in question.
So Scott, let's move on to exhibit number 8, and could you describe for us how you would intend to develop that 112 and 13 proposed 1920?
So we're drilling from the south of the section in 13, drilling 4 to 5 wells in section 13, 12, and 1 for the Middle Bakken formation. The Bradley Rock well may be shut in at some point, so we can drill all 5 wells. And all wells are going to be spaced at the 3 mile interval.
Okay. Let's move on then to exhibit number 9 and shift down to that proposed 1920 to the south.
It's very similar to the 1920 to the north. Drilling from the corner of 23 into 23, 26, and 35, all 3 mile laterals with a very similar plane.
And then, Scott, before we move on to the next exhibit, do you have exhibit number 2, if we can shift back to that exhibit?
Yes.
Can you just kind of address the question, like, development in that surrounding area? Particularly, they asked about, like, section 14.
So, to the best of my knowledge, 14, 11, and 2 have been spaced by CODA for 3 mile development, as well as section 24, 25, and 30.
You kind of cut out there. It's your understanding that that those may already be spaced as 1920s?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For section, yeah,
Okay,
14, 11, and
sure. Okay, let's go ahead then and move on back to exhibit number 10. Can you summarize the reservoir data and the economics?
yeah, the estimated reservoir pressure is going to be around 5,000 pounds. Original oil in place for the 1920 is going to be 17 million barrels, 15% recovery factor, yields just under 2.7 million barrels per DSU. The economic per well, we're going to invest about $10.5 million and have a return of cumulative undiscounted cash flow of around $13 million for a rate of return of about 64%.
Okay. And then moving on to exhibit 11, Scott, how would you propose to drill and complete the wells?
That's exactly what the wellbore schematic is here for, showing the initial plan development, TD of 22,750 feet, liner being set, or surface liner being set at 1380, with production liner set at the 23,700.
And Scott, in your opinion, if the commission were to approve these two 1920s to allow for this development you've described, would that prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes, it would.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the exhibits, including the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Scott, is it your understanding that CODA has majority working interest for sections 2, 11, and 14?
Yes.
We do have that 24, 25, and 36 was spaced by CODA as a stand-up 1920. I do not see that 2, 11, and 14 were ever spaced, nor do we have a case docketed for them. So if you could follow up and let us know if you've had any discussions with CODA on that, or any indication that CODA intends to space those as 2, 11, and 14 as a 1920, and when.
Yeah, we'll do.
Are all of these wells going to be drilled from a common pad?
Depending on surface, we are trying to do.
You're trying to build from a common pad?
Yes, sir.
So location hasn't been selected yet?
No, sir, it has not.
What's your anticipated spud date for these wells?
2026 to 2027 early.
And you mentioned planning to potentially shut in those wells for drilling and completion of the new wells. Are you planning on
Yeah.
continuing to produce them afterwards, clean them out?
They'll be determined, upon the completion, but the ultimate goal would be, yes, to prevent waste.
And are both of those existing 2-mile wells Three Forks targets?
Yes, they are.
And sorry if you said this before, I just don't see a legend on here. The green dotted lines are Middle Bakken targets and the red would be Three Forks.
They're actually all Middle Bakken targets.
All Middle Bakken. So the
Yes, sir. That's just the convention that we use to separate the wells.
okay, the red doesn't indicate anything.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Scott, with respect to your possible proposed surface location, either in southwest of 13 or northeast of 23, drilling the 3-mile long lateral and drilling across the entire section to get over to your easternmost or your westernmost depicted wells. Any concerns about being able to drill that wellbore in its entirety?
Not per se. We will have a bill back to the, but like I said, where we have surface issues depends on where we set up. We may have to have two different locations right at the middle of both sections, so at 13 and 23.
Okay, so if you can't get a common pad, you'd probably end up closer to the center of 13 and closer to the center of 23 with two individual pads?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But if you did drill them from a common pad, you don't anticipate problems getting over to that furthest most well slot and then drilling the 3-mile lateral from there?
No, sir. Nope. We do not anticipate anything.
And just confirming your intent is all Middle Bakken wells with the wells being depicted, all 5 wells?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I think we need to keep the record open for a little bit here. Is that-
Yeah, so Sam, on yours, it's probably pretty easy, like a week to get that supplemental information on ownership. That work?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
Scott or Sam, I guess you need to communicate with CODA with respect to their intentions on 211 and 14. You think you'll be able to hear back from them in a week?
Yes.
Okay,
Keep the record open until the 6th.
sure.
The record in this case will remain open until November 6th. And that concludes our hearing for case number 31247. Case number 31248. Application of Oasis Petroleum North America LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the McGregor and/or Midway Bakken pools to establish an overlapping stand-up 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 29 and 32, Township 158 North, Range 95 West, and sections 5 and 8, Township 157 North, Range 95 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled in such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to the November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 31248. Case number 31192. Application of Oasis Petroleum North America LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Trenton, Hardscrabble, and/or Indian Hill Bakken pools to establish an overlapping laydown 38 40-acre space unit described as sections 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and 27, Township 153 North, Range 102 West, McKenzie and Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been dismissed. That case concludes our hearing for case number 31192. Case number 31249. Application of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Clearwater Bakken Pool, Montreal County, North Dakota to 1. Establish 4 overlapping laydown 1920 acre space units described as sections 8, 9, and 10, sections 15, 16, and 17, sections 20, 21, and 22, and sections 27, 28, and 29, Township 157 North, Range 90 West, and authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on each such unit. 2, establish 3 overlapping laydown 38 40-acre space units described as sections 8, 9, 10, 15, 16, and 17, sections 15, 16, 17, 20, 21, and 22, and sections 20, 21, 22, 27, 28, and 29, Township 157 North, Range 90 West, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit, or 3, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC. I've got 3 witnesses appearing in this case and the next case. It'll be Levi Greenlee, Othman El Halou, and Aisha Keshemir, and I'll call them now.
Okay.
You guys hear me? All right.
Mr. Greenlee,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Levi, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is Levi Greenlee. I'm employed by Hess Corporation as a senior land negotiator with the business address of 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas, 77010.
And Levi, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
I have.
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with these proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Greenlee be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Levi, let's look at exhibit number 1, and if I could just have you identify for us each of those proposed 1920s and the 3840s.
Yes. Got a lot of these to walk through today. So exhibit 1 is a location map of Township 157 North, Range 90 West, Montreal County. In blue are the 6 existing stand-up 1280s, and then in green are the requested overlapping 1920 laydown DSUs, and in red are the requested overlapping 3840 laydown DSUs.
Okay. Let's move on to exhibit number 2 then and start with that first northernmost 1920 and describe your working interest in that spacing unit.
Exhibit 2 is the first 1920 spacing. In orange is the Hess operated RS Rudolph DSU with Hess owning 74.9%, Petra Hunt with 12.5%, and others with 12.6%. And then in blue is the Hess operated RS State H DSU with Hess owning 97.14% working interest. And in green is the Hess operated RS Johnson DSU with Hess owning 80.94%, Lime Rock Resources with 12.89%, and others with 6%. The combined working interest in that proposed 1920 spacing is Hess with 84.32% and others with 15.68%.
Okay. And then let's move on to the next one to the south. It's going to look pretty similar, I guess.
Yeah. So the south is just the spacing of the southern sections of the existing DSUs. The working interest and existing DSUs are the same, and the working interest is the same since it's all allocated. So in that RS Ingy DSU has 84.32% working interest, and others with 15.68% working interest.
Okay. And then let's move on then to exhibit number 4, the next 1920 to the south there. Take us through that one.
Yep. Yes, Exhibit 4 shows the Hess operated, in yellow, the Hess operated RSRR DSU with Hess with 87.5% working interest, others with 12.5%. In dark blue, you have the Hess operated RS Johnson A DSU with Hess owning 62.64%, Northern Oil with 21%, and others with 16.3%. And then in purple is the Hess operated RS Ball DSU, where Hess owns 86.37%, others 13.63%, and the combined working interest in that proposed DSU is Hess with 78.84%, Northern Oil with 7%, and others with 14.15% working interest.
Okay. And then moving on to exhibit 5 and that last 1920, your working interest.
Yep. So Exhibit 5 is pretty similar as well. It's just, again, the southern DSUs, or the southern sections of the existing DSUs being spaced as 1920, with the existing DSUs remaining the same, and the working interest, the combined working interest remaining the same as well, with Hess having 78.84% working interest, Northern Oil with 7%, and others with 14.15%.
Okay. Now let's move on to the 3840s. Exhibit number 6 is that first one.
Yes. So Exhibit 6 shows the Hess operated RS DSU, as previously mentioned, as well as the RS State H DSU, and then in green, the RS Johnson DSU, all HES operated. So combining those on a 3840 spacing reflects the pretty similar working interest that we saw before, with HES having 84.43% working interest and others with 15.68% working interest.
Okay, let's shift to the south, the next 3840, Exhibit 7.
Okay. Exhibit 7 is the second 3840 spacing. In orange is the HES operated RS Rudolph. In light blue is the RS State H. In green is the RS Johnson. In yellow we have the RS R Harstad. In dark blue is the RS Johnson A DSU, and then in purple is the RS Ball DSU. All of these DSUs are HES operated. The combined working interest of this 3840 spacing is HES with 81.58% and others with 18.42%.
Okay, and then the last one, just to the south, for this case, Exhibit number 8.
Yep. Exhibit 8 shows the HES operated RSR Harstad DSU, operated RS Johnson A DSU. In purple, the HES operated RS Ball DSU. Those three existing DSUs combined in a 3840, HES would have a 78.84% working interest, Northern with a 7%, and others with 14.15% working interest.
No further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. El-Halou,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Othman, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed, in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. My name is Othman El-Halou. I'm employed by HES Corporation as an operations geologist. The business address is 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas, 77010.
And Othman, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
They were.
And are you familiar with the geology underlying these proposed spacing units?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. El-Halou be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Othman, let's start with exhibit number 9. Can you just describe for us the structure underlying the spacing units?
Sure. Exhibit 9 shows the location of the existing DSUs in blue and the requested 1920 DSU outline in green, along with the requested 3840 DSU outline in pink. The top of the middle Bakken structure is presented with a 50-foot contour interval, showing that the formation is dipping to the southwest. The line A to A prime represents the location of the wells used in the cross-section in the next exhibit.
Okay. And I'll have you move on to exhibit number 10 and take us through that cross-section.
Sure. Exhibit 10 is a stratigraphic cross-section that's been flattened on the top of the Bakken, showing that the targeted formations are present and continuous throughout the region.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 9 and 10.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Hoffman, looking at your exhibit 10, the middle well in your cross section has a interesting middle Bakken character to it. Is that real, or is there something going on with that log?
I think that we have an upper clean sand interval that comes and goes in red sky. Call it upper clean, but it's the Aeolian sand that's present in some parts and other parts not. So it makes the zone thicker where it is present.
It's also really clean looking on the gamma signature, right?
Yes, sir. It's fun to see when we're geosteering, but it's a good marker that we use.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Ketchmere,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Aisha, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed in what capacity, and give us your business address?
So my name is Aisha Kashmir. I'm a reservoir engineer employed by Hess Corporation. Business address is 1501 McKinney Street, Houston, Texas 77010.
And Aisha, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with these proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Ms. Kashmir be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Aisha, let's look at exhibit number 11. Can you just describe for us how you would develop each of these proposed spacing units?
Sure. Exhibit 11 shows the proposed 1920 and 3840 acres development plan in Red Sky area. The dashed lines are the proposed 1920 and the bold dashed lines are the proposed 3840. All wells would be drilled and completed in the Middle Bakken Formation.
Okay. Let's move on to exhibit number 12, and if you can summarize for us the reservoir data and then the economics for the wells.
Sure. Exhibit 12 shows the reservoir and economic summary for a single 3-mile Middle Bakken well in the Red Sky area. The expected EUR is around 780. Economic were run at $62 per barrel WTI flat and 100% working interest. Expected NPV is around 5.6 million with 32% rate of return.
Okay. And Aisha, in your opinion, if the commission were to approve these 1920s and also the 3840s for those lease line wells, would that prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 11, 12, and the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Aisha, what is your timing for developing this area?
Yes, the first batch will be around November 26th. And the second batch will be in start around 2027, and the other last 2 batches around 2030.
Could I have you repeat the year for the last 2 batches?
Yeah, the last 2 batches is around January 2030.
So, Aisha, I think how I heard it was the second batch 2027 and the third batch 2030. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Which would be the first batch being drilled?
The first batch will be the RS Anger, which is the one in section 16, 14, 16, 16, 15, 16, 17, sorry, the middle one. It's going to be in October 2026.
And the second?
And the second will be the RS Elk, which is in section 20, 24, and 2021, 22, and it's going to be November 2027.
And so the very northern and southern batches, the final batch, those would be drilled in 2030?
Correct.
When would you drill that northern and southern section line well with the final batch?
It's going to be it's going to be with the middle. The 3 of them will be 2 of them will be drilled in 2026 and 2027 with the 2 first batches, and the rest will be in 2030. We're batch drilling the infills with the lease line.
So the southern 2 would be drilled in 2020 or in 2030?
The southern 2, yes, correct.
How far off the section line would these wells be drilled?
It's around 170 feet from the lease line.
(170 feet) in which direction? To the south or to the north?
To the north.
For all of them?
Yes, for all of them.
And what's the plan for the existing wells?
The plan for the existing wells is bring them back to production until we finish the draining for all the DSUs.
And would you continue to produce them after all the DSUs are drilled, or would you plug them at that time?
It will depend, but most likely we may plug them after we finish all the development.
Okay, thank you.
Aisha, what's the reasoning for the multi-year delay between the development cycle here?
It's mainly from facility constraints. So we're trying to have a minimum of a year, 18 months to a year to 18 months between batches, so we can handle the water and liquids and gas as well.
And is there any particular reason you're choosing to lay down 1920s across the existing 1280s instead of continuing to drill either on 1280s or possibly on longer spacing units north-south?
Yeah, one of the reason is the pad location. So we couldn't find a good surface location in the east or south. So that was the best in the west side of the DSU. That's why we changed our plan to lay down for a 3-mile lateral. It's mainly driven by surface location.
Okay, thank you.
Aisha, is there any reason why there's no section line on 5, 4, and 3 at the very top of the Exhibit 11?
Yeah, this is to honor the spacing. Well spacing, we're doing around 900 feet spacing well to well. So adding a lead line will be too close to the last well in the top. So that's the reason why there is no lead line on the top.
So is there any reason why you're having, you're changing your inner well distance there?
Our standard is to have like a wider spacing in red sky to make the well economic. At the 3-mile lateral with wider spacing, we've seen better productivity on wider space well versus a tighter spacing.
Okay, thank you.
Aisha, one more question for you real quick. On your Exhibit 11, you're depicting 4 lease line wells. The application was for 3 overlapping 3840s with 1 horizontal on each of them. Those middle 3 would be included in those 3. Is there an application already?
Yeah, Mr. Suggs, so
Yeah.
that southernmost one is the next case. These were all in the same field. The next case, it kind of splits fields and some different operators to the south. That's why we did that one separate, but that southernmost one is the next case.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yep.
All right, that concludes our hearing for case number 31249. Case number 31250, application of Hesbachen Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Clearwater and/or Ross Bakken pools to establish an overlapping laydown 3840 acre spacing unit described as sections 27, 28, 29, 32, 33, and 34, Township 157 North, Range 90 West, Montreal County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit, or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC, and it'll be the same three witnesses in this case.
Okay, just a reminder, they're still under oath.
Okay, and Levi, let's look at exhibit number 1, and if you could identify the proposed spacing unit.
Yep, exhibit one's the location map showing those existing, those 6 existing stand-up 1280 DSUs, and then the yellow box, or I'm sorry, excuse me, the red box is the requested 3840 DSU outline, and this all these DSUs are located in Township 157 North, Range 90 West.
Okay, and let's move on to exhibit number 2 and the working interest.
Yes, exhibit 2 is the land plat of the proposed 3840 spacing. In yellow is the Hess operated RS Harstad, Hess with 87.5%, others 12.5%. In dark blue is the RS Johnson A, Hess operated DSU, with Hess owning 62.6%, Northern Oil with 21, and others with 16.34. In purple is the Hess operated RS Ball DSU, with Hess owning 86.3 and others owning 13.63. In orange is the EOG operated Clearwater DSU, where Hess owns a 2.8% working interest, EOG with a 55%, and others with 41.53. In light blue is the EOG operated Clearwater DSU, where Hess owns a small interest, EOG with a 54%, and Hunt Oil with a 30.52. And then in green is the Hunt operated Palermo DSU, where Hess does not own a working interest, and the estimated working interest is owned by remaining is by Hunt. On the combined working interest, in the proposed 3840, Hess owns 39.96, Hunt with 21.75, EOG with 18.39, and others with 19.9% working interest. Hess has reached out to both EOG and Hunt and set their proposed drilling in the proposed spacing, and there was no objection from either.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 1 and 2.
They're admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right, Othman, let's look at exhibit number 3, and can I have you describe the structure underlying the proposed spacing unit?
Yes, sir. Exhibit 3 shows the location of the existing DSUs in blue and the requested 3840 DSU outline in pink with the existing wells marked. Top middle bottom structure map is presented with a 50-foot contour interval showing that the formation is dipping to the southwest. The line A to A prime represents the location of the wells that are used in the cross-section of exhibit 4.
Okay, and let's look at exhibit number 4, and can you take us through that cross-section?
The stratigraphic cross-section plotted on top of the Bakken showing that targeted formations are present continuous throughout the region.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 3 and 4.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right, Aisha, let's look at exhibit 5, and can you describe how you'd intend to develop this proposed 3840?
Sure. Exhibit 5 shows the proposed 3840 acres development plan in section 26, 27, 29, and 33, 34, 35. The bold dashed line is the proposed leaf line and will be drilled and completed in the middle Bakken formation.
Okay. And let's look at exhibit 6. Can you summarize the reservoir data and then the economics?
Yeah, exhibit 6 shows the economic and reservoir data summary for a single 3-mile middle Bakken well in Red Sky area. The expected EUR is around 780. Economics were run at $62 per barrel, WTI flat, and 100% working interest. The expected NPV is around $5.6 million with 32% rate of return.
And Aisha, in your opinion, if the commission were to approve this 3840 to allow for that lease line well, that prevent waste and protect correlative rights?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer exhibits 5, 6, and the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Aisha, just to confirm, your testimony from the previous case, 31249, you had mentioned that these section line wells will be drilled 170 feet to the north of the section line. Does that apply here still?
Yes, it does.
And I realized that Hunt and EOG were contacted and that they had no concerns. Some of these King and Palermo wells drill their toes right up to the section line. Are there any plans for how you're going to space your stages around those existing wells?
They were contacted and they didn't have any issue, and that was the reason why we pushed our well 170 feet northern of the section line,
And they were fine with that distance?
and they were fine with that distance. Correct? Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that concludes our hearing for case number 31250. Case number 31251, application of Hess Bakken Investments 2 LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Truax Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 2560 acre spacing unit described as sections 28, 29, 32, and 33, Township 154 North, Range 98 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to the November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 31251. And at this time, why don't we take a 10-minute break? Okay, we are back on the record. And we'll be consolidating the next 5 cases together. I'll begin with case number 31252, application of Enterplus Resources USA Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the McGregory, Buttes, Bach, and Pool to establish an overlapping stand-up 1920 acre spacing unit described as sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 148 North, Range 94 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. Case number 31253, application of Enterplus Resources USA Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the McGregory, Buttes, Bach, and Pool to establish an overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit described as sections 1, 2, 11, 12, 13, and 14, Township 148 North, Range 94 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled in such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. Case number 31254, application of Enterplus Resources USA Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the McGregory, Buttes, and/or Eagle Nest, Bach, and Pools to establish an overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit described as sections 3, 4, 9, 10, 15, and 16, Township 148 North, Range 94 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. Case number 31255, application of Enterplus Resources USA Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the McGregory, Buttes, Bach, and Pool to establish an overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit described as sections 19, 20, 29, 30, 31, and 32, Township 148 North, Range 93 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. Case number 31256, application of Enterplus Resources Corp. For an order amending the applicable orders for the McGregory, Buttes, Bach, and Pool to establish an overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit described as sections 1, 12, and 13, Township 148 North, Range 94 West, and sections 6, 7, and 18, Township 148 North, Range 93 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize 1 horizontal well to be drilled on such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Enterplus Resources USA Corp. And I'll have 3 witnesses testifying in each of these 5 cases. It'll be the same 3, and it'll be Ben Plank, John Prim, and Eva Tova Medina. And Mr. Examiner, it's my understanding we're consolidated each of the cases for hearing purposes. But how I've got the exhibits handed out, if it'd be okay if I just on land and I guess engineering in particular, just kind of have them touch on each of the exhibits. So I'm not going through Mr. Plank like each of the 5 cases because there'll be a lot of like flipping back and forth. Is that okay?
Any problem from the staff?
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine.
Yep. And then there'll be, I think with Mr. Prim's testimony, there'll be a lot of duplication there, and maybe we can kind of skip over some of that. But for land and just kind of touching on the development on each of those spacing units, we'll have them kind of go in order, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, all right. And, yeah, and Ben Plank will be the first witness then.
Mr. Plank,
Hi.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Ben, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Sure. Ben Plank. I'm employed by Ford Energy. Current business address is 950 17th Street, Suite 2200, Denver, Colorado, 80211, and I am a landman.
And Ben, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with each of these proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Plank be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Ben, let's look at Exhibit L1, if you can identify the proposed spacing unit for us.
Sure. So with case 31252, Exhibit L1 is it's a regional locator map that shows the general location of the Enterplus proposed 1920 acre unit, comprised of sections 1, 12, and 13 of Township 148 North, 94 West.
Okay. And then let's move on to L2 and your working interest in that spacing unit.
Yeah, so L2's working interest summary shows the slide of the proposed unit outlined by the red dash line, where Enerplus would have 100% working interest in the overlapping unit.
Okay. And then on L3, just the underlying spacing units that are getting overlapped.
Yeah, so L3 shows the underlying base units for the proposed overlap. Sections 1 and 12 is a stand-up 1280 that Enerplus operates at 100% working interest. And then both the north half and south half of section 13 is split into a 320-acre unit where Enerplus operates both at 100% working interest.
Sure. And I have no further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits on this one.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Prim,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
John, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed and what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is John Prim. I'm a geologist for Enerplus Resources USA, subsidiary of Cord Energy. My business address is 1001 Fannin Street, Suite 1500, Houston, Texas, 77002.
And John, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes,
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
yes,
Okay, and are you familiar with the geology underlying each of these proposed spacing units?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Prim be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And John, let's start with G1 then. Can you describe the structure underlying the proposed 1920?
Yep, so G1 shows a map centered over Township 148 North, 94 West, with the proposed spacing unit outlined in the dark orange yellow there. It's showing the upper Bakken structure dipping from approximately negative 8380 sub-CTVD to negative 8440 sub-CTVD from east to west across the proposed spacing unit.
Okay. And let's move on to the ISOPAC map you prepared, G2. Can you describe that exhibit for us?
Sure, so G2 over the same area with the proposed spacing unit highlighted as well. It's showing contours of 2 feet of the middle Bakken thickness across the area. And you can see the 42-foot contour going right through the center of the proposed spacing unit, showing an approximate thickness of the middle Bakken of 42 feet in the proposed spacing unit.
Okay. And then let's move on to G3, if you can take us through that type log of that well you identified.
Yep, so that type log was highlighted on previous maps, the BIA Hail 1-7. This is the type log showing the expected petrophysical characteristic of the subsurface underneath the proposed spacing unit.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Prim. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
John, looking at your exhibit G3,
Yes.
you have the pronghorn called out and then Three Forks first target called out. Are those located in the right spots?
So we pull out that that kind of first clean streak there, that pronghorn carbonate as separate from the Three Forks first. That might be what you're referring to. And separately above that, we would call out the lower Bakken shale, or excuse me, silt. That kind of rattier section up above that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. So the line you have drawn on the pronghorn would kind of be right in the middle of what the North Dakota Geologic Survey has recognized as the pronghorn, with what you call the lower Bakken silt being kind of the upper part of the pronghorn, and that clean interval immediately below it being kind of the lower part of the pronghorn.
Okay, understood. Yeah, these probably just got transferred over kind of from our internal nomenclature, and I'll correct that. I'll be consistent with NDIC nomenclature going forward. Thanks.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure. I mean, you can depict it however you want. I just wanted to make sure that that the line wasn't totally shifted and that that first clean streak that you have right underneath your pronghorn wasn't actually the first part of the Three Forks, so.
Understood. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ms. Tamova Medina,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
Eva, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed in what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, sir. Eva Tamova Medina, development engineer at Airplus / Port Energy. Our office is on 1001 Fannin Street, Suite 1500, Houston, Texas 77002.
And Eva, have you previously testified before the commission?
Yes, I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Ms. Tamova Medina be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Eva, let's look at E1. Can you describe how you would intend to develop that proposed 1920?
Yes, so the proposed development is highlighted with the red dash line, and the proposed 5 middle Bakken wellbores are in purple. Obviously, we can see that there's existing producers in there, so we try to stay away from some and nudge closer to others depending on how much production they've consumed so far.
And let's move on to Exhibit E2. Can you summarize for us the reservoir data and then the economics?
Yep. I just noticed that the number of wells are wrong. So 5. We can change that. Apologies for that. 5 middle Bakken wells. Well EOR is around 845 MBO, and the economics were ran at 71.5 per barrel and $2.75 per MCF. Investment just over $10 million. Discounted PR tenant just under 0.9.
Okay. No further questions. At this time, I'd offer the engineering exhibits in this case.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Eva, would you be batch drilling these 5 wells?
Yes.
Would you be drilling them from the north or the south?
The south, we have not found our location yet, but it will be on the south.
Is it planned to be a single pad?
Correct. Yes.
What's your timeline for spudding these?
These will be, I believe, mid to end of 2025.
And what's your plan for the existing wells?
After we complete these new wells, we'll evaluate if they're returnable to production, most likely.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Eva, the existing wells in the spacing unit, are they all Middle Bakken, Three Forks, mix? What do you got going on?
Mix. So from the stand-up one, the very western one is the Three Forks, and from the lay-down one, the middle one is the Three Forks.
And the rest that you didn't mention would be Middle Bakken targets? Or are they all?
Correct, yeah. All the rest are middle Bakken.
So when you drill your Middle Bakken wells across those lay-down 640 wells in 13,
Mm-hmm.
do you have Any specific plans with respect to your completion? Are you gonna blank stages or anything like that?
I don't believe so. We have a lot of experience with these crossing laterals, so we have not altered the completion, I believe. So we'll just have to evaluate at the time, closer to frac time as we review the final completion design. If those are and those completions on the existing 640 wells will sway us to go one or another, but as of now, we don't plan to alter our completion schedule.
Okay, and then when you drill by those in the middle Bakken, you're just gonna steer around them at this point?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Wade, you can proceed to the next case.
Yeah, so, Ben, let's go back to you. And 31253, if you can identify on your L1 in that case, the spacing unit we're discussing here.
Yeah, so regional locator map on Exhibit L1 shows general location of the Enerplus proposed 3840, consisting of sections 1, 2, 11, 12, 13, and 14 of Township 148 North, Range 94 West, in the McGregor Buttes field.
Okay. And then L2, let's look at your working interest in that proposed 3840.
Yeah, so Exhibit L2, it depicts the proposed 3840 outlined by the red dash line, where Enerplus would have an 82.94% working interest, and 17.06% would be other interest.
Sure. And then the underlying spacing units, the next exhibit, L3?
Yeah, so L3 shows the base unit to the proposed overlapping units, and sections 1 and 12 is a stand of 1280 that Enerplus operates at 100% working interest. 2 and 11 is also a stand of 1280. Enerplus operates at 100% working interest. And section 14 is a 640 that WPX operates, where Enerplus has a 0% working interest. And then both the north half and south half of section 13 is split into a 320 operated by Enerplus at 100% working interest.
Okay. I have no further questions for the land witness on this case, and I'd offer the exhibits, land exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Looking at my map here, it looks like 1, 2, 11, and 12 are currently a 2560. Would you want that terminated?
I believe that is the plan.
If we move to the south, it looks like section 25, 26, 35, and 36 are also a 2560. And what this does is it leaves a 1 mile lease line between sections 23 and 24. How would that be developed?
I'd have to defer development engineer.
We might be able to address that once we get to our point, or would you guys want me to answer that now?
You can answer now.
Go ahead, Eva.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. So you're gonna do a 3 mile lease line, and if you move to the south, there's a 2560, and what it does is it leaves a 1 mile lease line space between sections 23 and 24, directly to the south of this proposed 3 mile spacing, or 3 mile lease line well. How would you propose that that 1 mile be developed? Would you go in with a 1 mile lease line?
So the southern DSUs are currently, for us, are planned to be developed as 640. We have also the optionality to lay those down. So we have a lot of options to develop. Section 24, Section 23, and we have half of Section 19 as well.
Okay.
So the current plan is to develop it as a 640.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can proceed. Oh, nope.
Ben, I think when you were testifying on your L3, you indicated that section 14 is a 640. There is a 640 spacing unit there, and that's what you're overlapping directly, but it is also part of a lay-down 1,280 acre spacing unit, correct?
Correct, yeah, 14 exhibit A unit.
Okay, thank you.
You can proceed.
All right. So, John, looking at your geology exhibits in this case, anything different from the last case, since we're just talking about the lease line well to the west of that 1920 that you previously discussed?
Nothing geologically. As you can see, kind of the structural grain is almost due north-south, so in fact, it's pretty consistent along that section line. The geologic properties don't vary nearly as much as they do across the DSU.
Sure. And you're using the same type log?
Yes.
Yep. So, I have no further questions for Mr. Prim on this case, and for the geology exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right. Eva, let's look at your E1 on this one, and can you just describe how you would intend to develop the 3840 with the lease line well? Eva, are you there?
Sorry, I was talking while muted. Apologies. Yes, again, highlighted in red is the proposed section line corridor, and in purple is the proposed Middle Bakken section line well. As you can see in section 13, it kinks towards our DSU, and that's after talks with Devin. We have promised that we would be between 150 and 200 feet off the lease line as we enter section 13.
Okay. And then just maybe just touch on like reservoir economics. I mean, it primarily the same as previously, except for that 3840 spacing.
Yes, they're very identical to the previous case.
Sure. So, I don't have any additional questions at this time on this one, and I'd offer the engineering exhibits for this case.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Eva, would this be drilled from the same common pad as in the previous case?
Yes, sorry, I failed to mention that. Yes, this will be developed and drilled with the 5 wells that we heard on the previous case, and from the same pad. Apologies on the timing. I think I said 25, but it will be mid to end 26. Apologies for that.
So mid to end 26 for this well and the previous wells.
And the previous, yes, correct. This development.
And you mentioned being 150 to 250 to the east of the section line until passing WPX or Devon's wells in section 14, the heels and toes there. What is your plan?
150 to 200.
To 200. Okay.
Yeah.
And then after getting to the north into sections 12 and 11, would you be drilling that down the section line?
That's the current plan, yes, on the 0 line. We have not finalized well count well placement to say through reservoir currently, but this is our latest grade. So,
And as far as Devon's concerns, 150 to 200 feet were enough to alleviate them?
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Then I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but they've accepted that as good enough to support us.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
You can proceed to the next case.
Okay. Ben, let's move on and a little bit to the west here, case 31254. And if I can have you identify that proposed 3840 we're asking for.
So, slide L1 is a regional locator map, shows the general location of the proposed 3840, consisting of section 3, 4, 9, 10, 15, and 16, Township 148 North, 94 West. This one's in the McGregory Buttes Field and or New Eagle Nest Field.
Okay. And then your working interest in this proposed spacing unit, Exhibit L2?
Yeah, so again, proposed unit is outlined by the red dash line here, where Enerplus would have an 82.94% working interest.
Okay. And then the underlying units, L3?
Yeah, again, we're depicting the base units to this proposed overlap. So section 3 and 10 stand up 1280, where Enerplus operates at 100% working interest. 4 and 9, another stand up 1280, then Enerplus operates at 100% working interest. Section 15 is a 640 that WPX operates, where Enerplus has 0% working interest, and again, they overlap that as a laydown 1280 that we just discussed. And then section 16 is a 640 that Enerplus operates at 100% working interest.
Okay. No further questions. That offer the land exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Similar to the last case, sections 3, 4, 9, and 10 are currently a 2560. Do you want that terminated?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ben, with this case, there isn't an offsetting 1920. I don't believe you've depicted additional development that I see. What's the reason for the 3840?
Sorry, where's the 20?
No, I'm asking you why you're proposing to drill this as a 3840 overlap section line well when there's, I guess, currently no existing 1920s offsetting it?
Yeah, I mean, I believe the best answer would be, Ford really likes 3-mile laterals, and this is a way to get the toe into section 16.
Ben, I can answer that too. We've heard, I believe we've heard section the 16, 9, and 4. Was it last month?
So those were proposed as a
Pending
1920?
approval. Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I can dig up the order.
If you could at least give us the case number.
Yes, I can give you the case number. Yes. Apologies, I should have had that already. Yeah, September case number 31202. It was heard in September.
Okay, thank you.
while we're discussing development in the area, similar to the last case, sections 27, 28, 33, and 34 to the south are a 2560. So that leaves a 1 mile lease line between sections 21 and 22. How would you go about developing that?
There's more development to be done in 22. I think right now we're planning on developing it as a stand-up 1280. So we would drill that section line well at the same time. There's some infill inventory sticks that we have on the east side of the DSU. So I would assume we would do it at that time. Unfortunately, we could not drill this one as a 4 mile lateral because of the big kick out from the pad.
Okay, thank you.
You can proceed.
All right. So John, looking at your geology exhibits on this one, we're just a little bit to the west. Anything different with respect to geology?
Yep, as you said, it's just a little bit to the west, so we're just moving slightly deeper along dip. So here we're going from about negative 8480 subsea TVD to negative 8540 subsea TVD. And similarly, on G2, you can see that we're thinning slightly too. So whereas the previous one was about 42 feet thick, this DSU, the middle Bakken, is approximately 40 feet thick. So that section line.
Sure. And we're looking at the same type log you previously testified to?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the geology exhibits in this case.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right, Eva, let's look at your exhibit E1 in this case, and can you tell us how you developed this spacing unit?
Yep, so this one basically mirrors the previous case. On the other side of the 7 DSU, outlined again in red is the proposed section line corridor. We would drill on the 0 line for sections 3, 4, 9, and 10, and then we will again move away from the 7 DSU by 150 to 200 feet into section 16. This will be drilled from the pad highlighted in gray there, and actually this development will be in March, April timeframe of 2025. So we would appreciate getting this approved sooner rather than later.
Okay. And anything different on your reservoir data or economics for this 3840 lease line well?
Nope, this is identical to the previous 2 cases.
Okay. I have no further questions, and I'd offer the exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Going back to development of that section line between sections 21 and 22, it appears that there is section line development to the south of that. If you could just supplement with an exhibit showing how you would develop that section line between 21 and 22, that would be helpful.
Sounds good, will do.
Thank you.
Eva, with respect to the offset that WPX is requesting, is Interplus requesting we do anything with the hard lines or the section line corridor in the order, or just establish that and you've committed to meeting that standard for WPX in your drilling program?
believe the latter.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, we committed to 150 to 200 feet, so that would be within the 250 setback.
Yeah, what's being proposed fits within the standard setback. I'm just wondering if your intent is to have that memorialized in the order, or if setting it up and then you guys meeting that is what you plan to do.
We don't want that memorialized in the order. That's not the intent. We have back and forth discussion with WPX, and they've supported our plans here.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, how long do you need to provide the supplement?
Oh, Eva, so on that supplemental exhibit to kind of address, development along that corridor, is a week enough time, or do you need a little bit longer?
A week should be good.
Okay, so like November 6th?
Yep.
Okay.
No,
The record shall remain open until November 6th. And that could, oh, no, I'm sorry, move to the next case.
Couple more, yep.
Yeah.
So Ben, let's move on then to 31255, that next 3840, and can I have you go through L1 with us? Identify the spacing.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
So again, L1 is a regional locator map, shows the general location of the Interplus proposed 3840, comprised of sections 19, 20, 29, 30, 31, and 32 of Township 148 North, 93 West, in the McGregory Beach Field.
Okay. And then L2, what's your working interest in that spacing unit?
Yeah, so again, the proposed unit is outlined by the red dash line, where Interplus would have an 88.79% working interest.
Okay. And then L3, the underlying spacing.
So sections 20 and 29 is a stand of 1280. Interplus operates at 100% working interest. Sections 30 and 31, another stand of 1280, where Interplus operates at a 91.65% working interest. Section 32 is a 640. Interplus operates at 100% working interest. The west half of Section 19 is a 320 operated by Interplus at 100% working interest, and then the east half of Section 19 is a 320 operated by Petra Shale, where Interplus has a 0% working interest.
Okay. No further questions. That offer the land exhibits.
Are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Let's see. It looks like sections 19, 20, 29, and 30 are a lease line 2560. You want that terminated?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Ben, with the 320s in 19, if the commission were to determine that this should be a 1920, with the east half of 19, 30, and 31 combined with the west half of 20, 29, and 32, would that be sufficient for Interplus's drilling purposes here?
So we would base it on the 20, 29, 32, just the west half, and then the east half of 19, 30, and 31.
Possibly.
I think
Yeah.
that would be sufficient.
Yeah, it would slightly reduce our interest, but I believe that would be sufficient.
And you'd still end up with a majority interest in there, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then this might be a better question for Eva, I guess, again, but was there another 1920 proposed here? Or why the
I
three
think
line
it was
lateral?
actually, it was approved on the east half of 20, 29, and 32. I'll have to dig up that. That's actually an approved order from Enerplus.
I seen approved 1920 on the west half of 21, 28, and 33, and east half of 19. Sorry, east half of 20, 29, and 32.
That's what east
Okay.
half. Yeah. East half. Did I say west? I apologize. East half of 20, 22, 29, and 32.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that was granted as order 33056.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see that spacing unit now. Thank you. Just to confirm, that is for a lease line down the common section line between those sections, right?
This case or the
The other
case we
case.
were talking? Yeah, the other case, no, those will be, I think we're planning on drilling 3 wells there. Eva, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, 3 in unit wells. There's already a section line drilled, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, it's not very clear on my map at the moment. Thanks.
Okay, you can proceed.
All right. John, let's look at the geology here. We're a little bit southeast now, same general area, but you want to just kind of touch on the structure
Yeah.
here?
So sure, so G1 shows the Upper Bakken structure now centered over Township 148 North, 93 West, with the proposed spacing unit outlined in orange. This structure here is showing a similar dip from east to west, this time from approximately negative 8,300 subsea TVD to negative 8,420 subsea TVD, kind of in the southeast to northwest direction.
Okay. And how about your isopac? Anything different
Yep,
there?
so ISOPAC is showing just a slight thickening of the middle Bakken unit from approximately 40 feet thick in the south to 42 feet thick in the north of that proposed unit.
Okay. And then we're looking at a different type log here. You want to just run through that quick?
Yeah, so this type log was highlighted on the previous map. It's the Pumpkin 1489314C-13HTF, centered over the reservoir interval. Once again, that Three Forks first might be a little misplaced there based upon NDIC's nomenclature, but it's showing the petrophysical properties of the subsurface underlying the proposed unit.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right. Eva, let's look at E1 and take us through your proposed development on this 3840.
And so in red again, shown the section line corridor with the section line well proposed, middle Bakken section line well proposed in purple. This well will be drilled from the surface location identified in gray on the south end of 32. It will be drilled along with the eastern order that we just discussed, and it's currently scheduled for August 2025.
Okay. And then with respect to the reservoir data and the economics, you got anything different on this one?
Yeah, this is a slightly lower EUR on on this section line, I'll just do the depletion. So you can see that here, it's 500 MBO EUR. The investment is slightly lower too due to the lower frac capital because of the depletion, and the PIR is slightly or lower than the other three cases we heard.
Sure.
Due to the depletion as well. But as it's developed with the rest of the DS2 economics become more favorable.
Yep.
Overall.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the engineering exhibits in this case.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
The proposed surface location, is that an existing pad?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
So,
Ben, I need to go back to your L3 real quick, I think. You're currently depicting 32 as an underlying 640. I believe there is a 640 there for the purposes of drilling what I think is a lease line between two, or not a lease line, but a between spacing units between two 320s that currently exist there. There are two 320s. Are those wells drilled on the 320? 320s?
The wells depicted on L3?
L3 in section 32.
Yes, those wells are drilled and producing.
But are they drilled on 320 acre spacing units?
I believe it's a 640. Oh, sorry, you're correct. The base units are 320 on the east half and west half, and then it is overlapped by 640. Apologies for not catching that.
Okay, maybe let's get a revised L3 that depicts that properly.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
We're already keeping the record open for a week in all these cases, so is that enough for this?
Yeah, I mean, Ben, you can easily put that together in a week, right?
Yes, absolutely. I can have that by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Okay, then you
I have a quick question on the other supplemental. If it is determined that section line corridor was developed by the heavy development in west side of 22, would that be something that we can show, or currently we don't have any inventory stakes for that section line corridor, so I'm assuming that's because of that heavy development in 22.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess how would you
that would
guys
be
like?
okay, Ashley, right?
Yes, whatever you need to show that it's being developed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you can proceed to the next case.
Okay. And Ben, let's look at the final 31256, kind of come full circle here. Can you identify that proposed 3840 for us?
Sure. So L1 is, again, general location of the Enerplus proposed 3840, consisting of sections 1, 12, and 13 of 148 North, 94 West, and sections 6, 7, and 18 of 148 North, 93 West.
Okay. And then your working interest in that proposed spacing unit, L2?
Yeah, so, again, the proposed unit is outlined by the red dash line, where Enerplus would have a 100% working interest.
Okay. And then L3, the breakdown of the underlying units?
So sections 1 and 12 stand up 1280, operated by Enerplus at 100% working interest. Both sections, section 13, the north half and south half, are both 320s.
where both are operated at Enerplus at 100% working interest. Sections 6 and 5 is a laydown 1280 operated by Enerplus at 100% working interest. I've only shown section 6 in this slide, since that is what we're spacing it on. And then section 7 and 18 is a stand of 1280 operated by Enerplus at 100% working interest.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Sections 1, 12, 6, and 7 are currently at 2560. Would you like that terminated?
Yes, please.
Okay, and then similar to the previous cases, there's another 2560 to the south of sections 25, 36, 30, and 31. And that leaves a 1 mile section line between sections 24 and 19. Can someone address development of that section line?
Eva, I didn't know if you wanted to take that one. Could you repeat those sections, though?
Yep, it'll be the sections directly to the south, so it'd be between section 24 and 19, which currently look to be developed on 320s.
Yes, that's going to be similar answer as the answer I gave for the case 31-252. So we have 3 units to the south that are currently planned as 1 milers. We have new technology with the U-turn wells we can utilize here. We can also potentially lay this down. So we have options to the south. We have just not gotten to, obviously it's not on our priority list for now. We have other longer laterals to produce or to plan for, but this is definitely something we look to either develop with U-turns or space as lay down in the coming years.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can proceed.
All right. And John, let's look at your geology. I think you've primarily covered this on the first 2 cases, but anything unique you want to point out underlying this 3840?
Not really, just to, reacquaint you. I mean, yeah, we're back up north in the section line over 148-94 along that eastern section line. And along that section line, we see a slight dip from about negative 8380 to negative 8400 subsea TBD. But the thickness should be approximately the same at about 42 feet thick, as previously stated. And then the and then the typolog is the same, BIA Hill 1-7 that was previously discussed in the previous cases.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
And Eva, let's look at E1. Can you describe how you developed this 3840?
So again, in red is the section line corridor. Purple shows the Middle Bakken proposed wellbore. This will be drilled at the same time with the first 2 cases heard, case 31-252 and case 31-253, from either south side of section 13 or north side of section 24.
Okay. And Eva, on the reservoir and economics, is essentially the same as first couple cases?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Eva, in your opinion, we've kind of gone through what development in this area looks like. If the commission were to approve that 1920, the 112 and 13, and then also approve the 3840s for lease line development, those other 4 lease lines, in your opinion, is that going to prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
I believe so.
All right. I'll go ahead and offer the engineering exhibits as well as the gas capture plan affidavit that covers each of these cases.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Eva, how far is this well going to be drilled off the section line?
Right now, it's planned for to be on the 0 line.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that concludes our hearings for case numbers 31252, 31253, 31254, 31255, and 31256. Case number 31257, application of Enterplus Resources USA Corp. for an order amending the applicable orders for the Little Knife Lock and Pool to establish an overlapping 3840 acre space unit described as sections 4, 5, 8, 9, 16, and 17, Township 146 North, Range 97 West, Dunn County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been dismissed. That concludes our hearing for case number 31257. Case number 31258. Application of Kraken Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Briar Creek Bakken Pool, McKenzie and Williams County, North Dakota to 1. Establish a stand-up 960 acre spacing unit described as sections 6, 7, and 18, Township 152 North, Range 104 West, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. 2. Establish an overlapping stand-up 2880 acre spacing unit described as sections 5, 6, 7, 8, 17, and 18, Township 152 North, Range 104 West, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit. Or 3, granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Kraken Operating LLC. All 3 witnesses testify in this case and the next case. It'll be the same. Justin Mayhall, Brian Lucero, and Josh Lochner. And I'll call them now. Hey guys, can you hear me? Ready to go?
Yep, I believe so.
All right.
Mr. Mayhall,
Yes.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes.
Justin, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed and what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is Justin Mayhall. I work for Kraken Operating as a landman. Address 945 Bunker Hill Road, Suite 1200, Houston, Texas 77024.
And Justin, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have.
Have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes, I have.
And are you familiar with the land matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Mayhall be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Justin, let's start with L1. Can you identify the area we're discussing?
Yes, this is a map of this is a regional locator map of the Briar Creek Field in Williams County, comprising of Township 152 North, 104 West.
Okay. And then let's move on to L2. Can you identify the the first spacing unit, the 960, and your working interest in that spacing unit.
Yes, this map comprises of section 6, 7, and 18 in 152 North, 104 West, where Kraken currently has a working interest of 30.58%.
Okay. And Justin, this is spacing for the full section of each of 6, 7, and 18, correct? It's just these units abut the boundary of, yeah.
Correct. It's a regular small unit, or small sections.
Right, with them being on the Montana border, that's why we've got the smaller size.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Then let's move on to the next one. If you can identify the 2880 overlapping spacing unit for the lease line, and then your working interest.
Yes, so this map comprises of sections 5, 6, 7, 8, 17, and 18, 152 North, 104 West. This comprises of 2 units, the previous mentioned sections 6, 7, and 18, as well as sections 5, 8, and 17. As mentioned previously, Kraken currently has a 30.58% working interest at 6, 7, and 18. And we have a 85.15% working interest in 5, 8, and 17. Below that shows a 2880 acre recapitulation of Kraken having a 66.96% working interest. And what we did there is we allocated 33% for the western unit of 6, 7, and 18, and we did 66.67% allocation on the section 5, 8, and 17 unit, because the 960 is 33% of the 2880 acre unit.
Okay. And 5, 8, and 17 are currently an existing 1920 with development, correct?
Correct. Kraken operates that unit at 85.85 or 15%.
Right. And that's why we're looking at that in the boundary units. That's why we're looking at a 2880 for this overlapping lease line spacing unit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits.
Exhibits are omitted. Any questions from the staff?
Justin, if the commission were to determine that the spacing unit should be a stand-up 1920, which would be all of 6, 7, and 18, and the west half of 5, 8, and 17, would that suffice for Kraken's plans in this area?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to visit. Off the top of my head, I don't know if there would be any issues with doing it that way. Yeah, we would just we'd have to visit on if that presents any problems.
Okay. I mean, I think you tried to address the kind of inequity or the offset of the size of the spacing units when you indicated that, 33% would be allocated to the 960 and 66% to the 1920, but I'm not sure exactly what the commission's going to want to do for an order here.
I mean, I think with the pooling orders and sort of allocation, I think end result ultimately would be the same.
Yeah, no. So the 33-66 split is just to give the commission kind of an idea of what Kraken owns in each, but everybody would get their equitable acreage in terms of how we pay on the well.
Well, with that statement, if we were to establish the spacing units as you're indicating, the owners in the existing spacing units would get 66% of those wells versus 33% to the other well, correct? Or to the other spacing units?
I mean, on the lease line, it's still going to be equal acreage, and it's just going to be in terms of what every individual owner's net acreage is.
Right, but would the owners in the east half of 5, 8, and 17 be affected by a well drilled on that lease line?
No, I believe not. Like I said, we would be, like I said, we still would be giving them their net acreage in the total 2880.
Right. Okay, well, the commission will look at it. I guess I'm gonna ask for a supplemental if you could, for what Kraken's ownership would be in the west half of 5, 8, and 17.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Lucero, do
Yes, sir.
you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yeah, I do.
Brian, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed and what capacity, and give us your business address?
Yes, my name is Brian Lucero. I'm employed by Kraken Resources as their geology manager. Our address is 945 Bunker Hill Road, Suite 1200, Houston, Texas 77024.
And Brian, have you previously testified before this commission?
Yes, sir, I have.
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
Yes,
And are you familiar with the geology underlying the proposed spacing units?
yes, I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Lucero be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Brian, let's start with G1. Can you describe the structure underlying these proposed spacing units?
Yes, sir. As you said, Exhibit G1 is a structure map based on the top of the middle block and across the township. The unit in question is delineated to show dip generally to the east, and the map is based on a 10-foot contour interval. It also shows the location of our site plug.
Okay. And then take us through your ISOPAC map, G2.
Yes, sir. We do have an ISOPAC across the same area. Again, the unit is delineated, shows generally between 25 to 26 feet of middle block and across the unit. And once again, type log is delineated.
Okay, and then let's move on to G3, if you can describe that type log for that well you identified.
G3 is our type log. It's the trending number 1, and this shows just a representative look at the middle block in this area.
Okay. No further questions for Mr. Lucero. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Mr. Latchner,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Josh, can I have you state your name, tell us by whom you're employed and what capacity, and give us your business address?
My name is Joshua Lochner. I'm a reservoir engineer for Kraken Operating, Kraken Resources. And our business address is 945 Bunker Hill Road, Suite 1200 in Houston, Texas, 77024.
Okay. And Josh, have you previously testified before the commission?
I have,
And have you had your qualifications received as that of an expert?
yes,
And are you familiar with the engineering matters associated with the proposed spacing units?
I am.
Okay, I'd move the testimony of Mr. Lochner be received as that of an expert.
Motion granted.
And Josh, let's look at E1. Can you tell us how you'd intend to develop these spacing units?
Exhibit E1 is a proposed development diagram for the proposed 960 and 2880 acres spacing unit. The 2880 unit is outlined in blue, and the green dash line represents the wells that we are proposing to drill within these two units. The green square is the proposed surface location from where the wells will be drilled. And as you can see, the unit encompasses sections 5, 6, 7, 8, 17, and 8.
Okay. And moving on to the next exhibit, E2, how would you propose to drill and complete the wells?
Exhibit E2 is the lateral wellbore schematic for these 3-mile wells, showing a 4-string casing design with a conductor, surface casing, intermediate casing, and production liner hung within the two-track. The completion design will be a plug and perf through the cemented liner with a stage spacing of 167 feet per stage.
Okay. And then let's move on to E3. Can you summarize the reservoir data for us?
Exhibit D3 is the reservoir data for the proposed spacing unit. A thickness between 25 and 35 feet for the Middle Bakken, and oil in place of 6 million barrels of oil per section. And we estimate an EUR of 770,000 barrels of oil per well, which yields a recovery factor of about 3 to 4%. For GOR, we expect it to start at around 700 cubic feet per barrel, and then rise to 1,500 over the first year and a half, and then remain roughly flat for the life of the well.
Okay. And then moving on to E4, we've got 2 E4s. Essentially, it's just like a 2-page exhibit. You got the economics for each well, right? Just one, because one of them's a 960, one of them's 2880.
That's correct.
Smart.
Exhibit E4.
Yeah. Go ahead and run through those, sorry.
Exhibit E4 are the reserves and economic analysis for the well economics for the 2 proposed wells and the proposed 960 and 2880 spacing units. The economics are identical, but I like to separate into exhibits for the different spacing units. As mentioned before, we expect estimated ultimate recovery of 770,000 barrels of oil per well. And when modeled with an initial investment of $12.2 million per well and running at $70 for oil and $2.75 for gas, the project yields a $9.1 million value per well with an IRR of 77% and a payout of under 2.5.
Okay. So Josh, in your opinion, if the commission were to approve the spacing units and allow for this development, would that prevent waste, protect relative rights, and prevent the drilling of unnecessary wells?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions. I'd offer the engineering exhibits and the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Josh, are these,
Sure.
what is your timeline for drilling these?
We plan to drill these 2026.
And would you be drilling both of them batch at the same time?
Yes.
Do you have a pad location picked?
We do have a pad location.
Is it on the,
It's in the approximate. Sorry, go ahead.
is it on the north or the south end?
It's on the north end.
Is it where that 2 is depicted?
It's in that general area. The location might be shaded, but it's within that.
Sorry, you were cutting out there.
It's near that square. Yeah.
Okay. And I guess this would be for Justin, when you're putting that supplement together that Mr. Suggs asked for regarding the ownership on the west half of 5, 8, and 17, Could you also address if it would be, if there is an issue, if Kraken would have an issue drilling this on a 1920 basis as opposed to a 2880? And if there is an issue, describe what that would be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Josh, just a couple quick questions. On E1, looking at the existing wells in 5, 8, and 17, there's 4 gray lines in there. One of those isn't an existing well, correct? The second one from the right there's no actual wellbore there?
There is a wellbore there, but it's not showing up on the NDIC website.
Okay.
I'm not sure why the directionals aren't there,
Is it
but that well does exist.
okay? Is it a recently drilled well on confidential status or something like that?
No, it was drilled at the same time as the easternmost well.
Okay.
And also the well to the north in section 35 that's only showing a few thousand feet. I can't really explain it. We might have to talk to the drilling team, maybe the directional driller or the survey.
We might look into it a little bit on our end as well.
Okay.
And then I guess on E3, when you were discussing E3, when you were talking about the oil in place, you indicated 6 million MBO on per section. I think you have it labeled as per 640. That value is per 640 acres in the area, correct?
That's correct. I should have been more precise with that language, considering the smaller size of the sections in 6, 7, and 18.
Yeah, so the 3 small ones would be half that value, roughly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Josh, one more question on your E2, referring to that wellbore that would be second to east. Do you know the well name or file number for that well?
Yes, that is the Keene South 5-8-17, number 6H. I can get the NDIC well number in just a minute. All right. It's the NDIC well number is 40118.
It does not appear that we have surveys for it, so if you could contact your MWD contractor and have them submit the certified surveys for that, would be appreciated.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, wait, how long do we need to keep the record open?
Hey, Justin, that supplemental exhibit, would a week be sufficient, or do you think you'll need any more time?
No, that's sufficient.
Okay.
The record will remain open in this case until November 6th. And that concludes our hearing for case number 31258. Case number 31259, application of Kraken Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Little Tank Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 3840 acre space unit described as sections 5, 6, 7, 8, 17, and 18, Township 148 North, Range 101 West, McKenzie County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on such unit, or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Examiner. Wade Mann, P.O. Box 2798, Bismarck, North Dakota, appearing in this case on behalf of Kraken Operating LLC. Same 3 witnesses will testify in this case.
And just a reminder, they're still under oath.
Sure. And Justin, let's start with L1. Can you identify the area we're discussing?
Yes, this is a regional locator map for the Little Tank field in McKenzie County. covering 148 north, 101 west.
Okay. And let's move on to L2, if you can identify the proposed spacing unit and your working interest.
Yes, this is, covers sections 5, 6, 7, 8, 17, and 18, 148 north, 101 west. We show the Kraken having approximately 33.04% working interest in sections 6, 7, and 18. And we show Kraken having approximately 49.81% working interest in sections 5, 8, and 17 for a 3840 acre recapitulation of a total interest of 41.43 in the 3840 unit. I have also broken down showing the federal acreage in these 6 sections and would ask the commission for an expedite on this order so that we can begin the federal permitting process.
So, Justin, with the federal tracks and the sort of the timing constraints associated with that, do you have an idea when you think you're going to need the order?
Before the end of the year would be helpful.
Okay. I have no further questions. I'd offer the land exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right, Brian, let's look at your G1. Can you describe the structure underlying this proposed spacing unit?
Yes, sir. Exhibit G1 is a structure map based on the top of the Middle Bakken across the township. The unit in question is outlined. This shows structure generally dipping to the east-northeast, 10-foot contour interval. Also shows the location of our type well.
Okay. Let's move on to the next exhibit, G2. Can you take us through that ISOPAC?
Yes, sir. G2 is an isopack of the Middle Bakken across this township. Again, unit is outlined, shows on average roughly 25 feet of Middle Bakken across the unit, and again, shows the location of our type log.
Okay. And moving on to G3 then, can you describe that type log for us?
Our type log for this area is the Stevens State number 1. And this is just a representative log across the Middle Bakken target.
Okay. I have no further questions for Mr. Lucero. I'd offer the geology exhibits.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
All right, Josh, let's start with your E1. Can you describe your proposed development plan for the spacing unit?
Yes, Exhibit E1 is the proposed development diagram for the proposed 3840 spacing unit, encompassing sections 5, 6, 7, 8, 17, and 18, in Township 148, Range 101 West. The proposed well in this particular spacing unit, the leaf line, is shown with the green dashed line through the center of the unit, whereas the gray dashed line adjacent to the well within the unit have been previously spaced and spaced by this commission. The proposed surface location is in the southwest of section 34 and is marked with a green box.
Okay. And moving on to E2, how would you propose to drill and complete this well?
Exhibit E2 is the 15,000-foot lateral wellbore schematic for the proposed well, showing the 4-string casing design and also outlining the proposed completion design with plug and perf and 167-foot stage spacing.
Okay. Then let's go on to E3. Can you summarize the reservoir data for us?
Exhibit E3 is the reservoir data showing the dolomitic shale formation of the Middle Bakken with a 25-35-foot thickness and with spacing of 3,840 acres and an estimated recovery of 690,000 barrels of oil per well. We anticipate a recovery factor between 2 and 3%. and a GOR that rises for the first 2 years of the well from 700 to 1,500 standard cubic feet per barrel.
Okay. And then E4, can you summarize the economics for the proposed well?
Exhibit D4 is a single well economic summary for this proposed well with a 690,000 EUR and an investment of $11.5 million. We estimate a net present value of the project of $7.4 million. That's assuming 100% working interest, with a rate of return of 1.8, discounted rate of return on investment of 1.8, and a rate of return of 67%. Midstream will be by ONEOK and
Okay, and Josh, in your opinion, if the commission were to approve this 3840 to allow for the drilling of the lease line well, would that prevent waste and protect relative rights?
yes, it would.
Okay, I have no further questions that offer the engineering exhibits and the gas capture plan affidavit.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Josh, how far off the section line will this be drilled?
We'll plan to stay within the lease line corridor, of course, perhaps shaded 50 feet to the west.
And when would you be developing these two units along with the lease line?
Yes, so we're going to drill these with two separate pads. The pad that encompasses this particular well is the western 4 dashed lines as seen on Exhibit E1, and that we plan to drill near the end of 2025 or the start of 2026.
Thank you.
Justin, sorry, jumping back to Justin real quick. On your exhibit L2, you have the federal leases and the Kraken leases called out. Do you have any leasehold locked up along the section line corridor, or is that all unleased federal at this point?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I believe it is leased, but yeah, I do not know off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, that concludes our hearing for case number 31259. Case number 31186, application of Kraken Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Green Lake Bakken Pool to establish an overlapping 3840 acre spacing unit described as sections 10, 11, 14, 15, 22, and 23, Township 159 North, Range 100 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled in such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 31186. Case number 31187, application of Kraken Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the new home Bakken Pool to establish two overlapping 2560 acre spacing units described as sections 25, 26, 35, and 36, and sections 26, 27, 34, and 35, Township 158 North, Range 97 West, Williams County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled in each such unit or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 31187. Case number 31188, application of Kraken Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Rawson and/or Antelope Creek Bakken pools to establish two overlapping 38, 40-acre spacing units described as sections 25, 26, 35, and 36, Township 150 North, Range 101 West, and sections 1 and 2, Township 149 North, Range 101 West, and sections 11, 12, 13, 14, 23, and 24, Township 149 North, Range 101 West, McKenzie County, North Dakota, and authorize one horizontal well to be drilled on each such unit, or granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 31188. Case number 31260. Application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Noonan Bakken Pool to establish a 1920-acre spacing unit described as sections 16, 21, and 28, Township 162 North, Range 95 West, Divide County, North Dakota, and to authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. All interested parties, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, Tom Throne, P.O. Box 6590 in Sheridan, Wyoming, appearing on behalf of the applicant, Phoenix Operating LLC. And I would suggest these applications 31260 through 31263 cover the same general vicinity, and there is some overlap in the exhibits and the testimony. And I would propose we combine those. That would expedite the matters much in the same way you did the Interplus hearings. And I have 3 witnesses, 1 in person, Mark Johnson, and 2 that I need to get on the telephone.
Well, then, for the purposes of the hearing, we will consolidate the next 4 cases, and I'll call them all into the record now. So we left off with case number 31260, case number 31261. Application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Noonan Bakken Pool to establish a 1920-acre spacing unit described as sections 22, 23, and 24, Township 162 North, Range 95 West, Divide County, North Dakota, and to authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. Case number 31262, application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Noonan Bakken Pool to establish a 1920-acre spacing unit described as sections 25, 26, and 27, Township 162 North, Range 95 West, Divide County, North Dakota, and to authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. In case number 31263, application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Noonan Bakken Pool to establish a 1920-acre spacing unit described as sections 33, 34, and 35, Township 162 North, Range 95 West, Divide County, North Dakota, and to authorize 5 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. If you could just give me the names of your witnesses.
Nick and Eric, are you there? Okay. Yes, Mr. Chairman, Nick Daniele will be our geologic witness. Too loud. And Eric Shively will be the engineering witness. And as I mentioned, Mark Johnson will be our land witness, and he is present.
Mr. Johnson, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Mark, would you please state your name and address for the record?
My name is Mark Johnson. I work for Phoenix Operating LLC as Land Regulatory and HSE Vice President. My work address is 4643 South Ulster Street, Suite 1510, Denver, Colorado, 80237.
Have you previously testified as an expert in petroleum land matters before this commission?
I have.
And are you personally familiar with all of the lands that are subject to the 4 applications that are coming forward?
I am.
I would ask that Mr. Johnson be accepted as an expert witness in petroleum land matters.
Motion granted.
And Mark, you've prepared exhibits for all 4 hearings.
That's correct.
Why don't you start with Exhibit 1 and explain the lands that are subject to this application and explain how the 4 applications are all intertwined together.
Okay. Exhibit 1 is just a zoomed out regional map of the 4 cases in question here. in the northeast corner of Divide County. You can see on that map, the four of them kind of lumped together, and you can kind of see all the other highlighted rectangles on the map are previous spacing unit orders and applications that we've brought before the commission. As you go into Exhibit 2 on case 31-260, you can see zoomed in the 4 units in question that are the next 4 cases. At the one in red is the one we are talking about in case 31260, sections 16, 21, and 28 of 16295.
Move on to Exhibit 3. Would you please explain Phoenix's operating ownership in the proposed spacing unit?
Yep, Exhibit 3 zooms in even further on 16, 21, and 28 of 16295, and currently Phoenix has a 52% working interest in that 1920.
And does Phoenix intend to cooperate with the other working interest owners in the union?
We do.
And have you executed the gas capture affidavit that is Exhibit 9 to this packet?
I did.
And is it the same affidavit in every one of the applications?
Yes, it is.
I would ask that Exhibits 1, 2, 3, and 9 be admitted into the record.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Sections 21, 28, and 33 are currently in undeveloped 1920. Do you want that terminated?
Yes.
Thank you.
All of these cases will have something that needs to be.
And I will have questions for you
Okay.
in all of them.
Okay.
Mark, probably getting a little ahead because you haven't shown the rest of the development, but I think you addressed how, in subsequent cases, you're addressing stuff to the south and to the east. Do you know what the plans are developing immediately north of this?
Yes. I believe Formentera Partners was in front of you last month, and they are spacing 1, 12, and 13, and 2, 11, and 14. I think that was case 31232 last month. The stuff immediately 3, 10, and 15, and 4 and 9 is not spaced, so I do not know what the current plan for that is. I would assume that Formentera would just keep moving down the line to the west and knock those out.
If that's the expectation, how does the shifting up of this 1920 to include 16 fit into that?
They'll have to get, someone will, in this area will have to drill a 2-miler. So 4 and 9, we've talked with Formentera a couple weeks ago, and that was their concern. And I think the end goal or the end discussion was someone's going to drill a 2-miler, and if it's going to be them, it's going to be them. I mean, our plan incorporates section 25, which is currently unspaced. So we feel like our plan incorporates something that had previously been left stranded. Section 36 kind of screws things up a little bit, that goes 36 and 1. But like I said, we spoke with Formentera. They did have a question about 16, but our thought was, you could have done that last September when you did the other 2, but they didn't. So, so that's kind of where we left it. We never heard back from them after we had those discussions and told them our plan, and they voiced their concern, and we've never heard anything since.
In your opinion, in the area, would a 1,280 acre spacing unit of 4 and 9 be viable economically?
It will. I mean, it's obviously not as good as a 3-miler, but again, someone's got to drill a 2-miler in here eventually to make it all work, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Mark, we haven't heard any opposition from Formentera, and they're not here today. Did they say they would drill a 2-miler, or in your discussions with them, were they opposed to doing it?
I don't remember that they were verbally opposed to it. I mean, I think it was just kind of left unsaid that, there's going to be a 2-miler in there. Someone's going to have to do it. It's probably not going to be us, so.
So 4 and 9 is their mineral acreage, their working interest.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Daniele,
Yes, sir.
do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Nick, would you please state your name and work address for the staff and for whom you work and in what capacity?
Yep. Nick Daniele, D-A-N-I-E-L-E. I work for Phoenix Operating LLC as the Vice President of Geology. Office address 4643 South Alter Street, Suite 1510, Denver, Colorado 80237.
And have you previously been accepted as an expert in petroleum geology?
I have.
And are you familiar with all the lands that we are discussing today?
I am.
I would ask that Mr. Daniele be accepted as an expert in petroleum geology.
Motion granted.
And Nick, you've prepared some exhibits for the hearing today.
Yes, sir.
Okay, starting with Exhibit 4, would you please describe the structure map?
Yeah, this is a subsea structure map made on the top of the Middle Bakken Formation. On the map, the proposed 1920 acre spacing unit shown in red, with the various other case units shown in black. Horizontal wells, the black dot, represent Middle Bakken producers. Horizontal wells, the purple dot, represent Three Forks producers. In this area, the Middle Bakken is dipping from north to south slightly. The structure map shows a contour interval of 50 feet.
And just for the record, is this the same map that occurs as a structure map in the other 3 hearings?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on this map you have AA prime, and you also have a label of a type log. Moving on to Exhibit 5, would you please describe the type log and the cross-section?
Yes, sir. So the AA prime south across the proposed unit. The first track of the cross-section is gamma ray, the second track is resistivity, and the third track is porosity. I highlighted the top on the left with the target zone shown in the green.
And at the bottom, you show reservoir characteristics on Exhibit 5. Would you please explain those?
Yes, sir. Those reservoir properties were used creating the middle well, the type log well, the Woody B. Estimate approximate TVD of about 8,300 feet. Average porosity about 6%. Average water saturation 24%. With a gross average thickness of 50 feet and using a BOI of 1.4, we end up with roughly 8 million barrels of oil in place per section.
And in your opinion, is the Middle Bakken precedent continuous across all 4 application lands?
Yes, sir.
And if this application is approved, will waste be prevented, relative rights protected, and the drilling of unnecessary wells prevented?
Yes.
And just for the record, the only difference between your exhibits and the other 3 cases is the highlighted spacing unit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I would ask that exhibits 4 and 5 be admitted into the record.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
What's your anticipated spud date for these?
April of 2025.
Would you be drilling one and testing or batch drilling?
We'll be drilling the fourth case of this set of 4 first, the 3-mile lateral in 33, 34, and 35 first, and we'll be batch drilling all 5 wells that are proposed in that.
And that fourth case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thanks.
Mr. Shogley?
Yes,
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Eric, would you please state your name and address for the staff, and I would spell your last name as well?
Yes, my name is actually Eric Shivey, spelling it S-H-I-V-E-Y. I am located, I'm with Phoenix Operating LLC, at 4643 South Old Street, Suite 1510, Denver, Colorado, 80237.
And my apologies for mispronouncing your name.
Oh, no problem.
Have you previously testified as an expert witness in petroleum engineering for this commission?
Yes, I have.
And are you personally familiar with the lands that we are discussing today?
Yes, I am.
I would ask that Mr. Shivey be accepted as an expert witness in petroleum engineering.
Motion granted.
And you've prepared certain exhibits for all 4 applications, haven't you, Eric?
Yes, I have.
Starting with Exhibit 6, would you describe the wellbore diagram that you anticipate for any wells drilled on the proposed spacing units?
Yes, I will. This will be the same wellbore schematic for all proposed wells. Plan to set surface casing 95/8 at about 2,000 feet subsurface, cement to surface. Then we'll be drilling our intermediate string install a 7-inch lateral. We'd be kicking off at about 500 feet above the middle bar in target, landing horizontally as well. And then we would drill our lateral and install 4.5-inch line with a liner assembly within the 7-inch string.
Moving on to Exhibit 7, would you please describe Phoenix's anticipated development plan for this spacing unit? Keep in mind we'll have to do the same description again for the other spacing units because they have different orientation, but explain for case 31260, excuse me, 16, 21, and 28, your development plan?
Correct. That's the stand-up 3-mile DSU proposal. We would be planning to drill 5 wells, 3-mile lateral batch drilling from the same path before we develop the unit.
Okay, moving on to Exhibit 8, would you please describe the economics of wells drilled in the proposed spacing units?
Certainly. We have type curve economics here that work out to about 485,000 barrels of oil per well. Initial rate estimated at 3,000 barrels of oil per month. Initial decline of 74% with a hyperbolic D factor of 0.9 describes the ARTS equation. The GOR anticipated in this area is 2,200 standard cubic feet per barrel. That also leads to about 1 BCF of gas reserves. For the economics, we ran flat oil price similar to current pricing. Net oil price assumed at $69 per barrel, and the gas price $2.50 per MCF. Drilling complete cost in total is approximately $9.5 billion, and for operating expenses, we assume a $5 per barrel variable cost per oil and a fixed operating expense of $7,500 per month. An assumed royalty rate does vary, obviously, but about 20%. That leaves PV10 of approximately $12.8 million per well, with an internal rate of return of 25% and a payout of approximately 28 months.
And did you use the reservoir characteristics that Mr. Daniele testified to on Exhibit 5 for preparing these economics and reserves?
Yes, I did.
And do you have the same Exhibit 8 for all 4 applications?
I do.
And is Exhibit 9 the gas capture affidavit that Mark Johnson testified to?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Okay. For this docket, I would ask for the admission of Exhibits 6, 7, and 8, and we've already admitted Exhibit 9 to the record.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
How many stages do you have planned here?
Sorry, 60, I believe.
60?
Yes,
Does that apply to all 4 cases then?
yes, it is.
Thank you.
Yes.
Eric, I probably unfairly asked Mark this question, as he's the land person instead of the engineer on the economics, but in your opinion, would a 2-mile lateral in the area also be economic?
Yes, I mean, it won't be obvious economic, 3 miles. That's the economic.
So less favorable, but still potentially make some money back?
Correct, it would.
Okay, I'm gonna ask an overall question, and again, we're getting a little bit ahead of the rest of the cases, but is the reason for the next couple cases laying those down to avoid the need to put a stand-up 1280 on 24 and 25?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can proceed to the next case.
Okay, this be case 31261, and I think what I will have Mr. Johnson do and actually Mr. Shivey do is just go through their exhibits that are different on this case and then ask for admission of the other exhibits. So Mark, starting with Exhibit 2, describe the spacing unit that is subject to 31261.
On Exhibit 2, for 31261, it shows again the kind of the overall 4 cases that we're speaking of, and the red highlighted box of sections 22, 23, and 24 are the exact 1920 that we're speaking about in this case.
And move on to Exhibit 3. What is the working interest ownership of Phoenix in this proposed spacing unit?
In sections 22, 23, and 24 of 16295, Phoenix Operating currently owns a 65.5% working interest.
And are there any other applications or orders that will be impacted if this one, this application is approved?
Yes, there are.
And what are those orders?
I believe they are orders 30573 and 17066, but I would have Ashley verify that for me.
I don't know the order numbers, but I will ask you some questions about terminating some undeveloped spacing here. So sections 22, 27, and 34 are stand-up 1920. And sections 14 and 23 and sections 13 and 24 are stand-up 1280s that are undeveloped. Would all of those be terminated?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Daniele, your exhibits in 31261 are the same as they were in the first case,
I'm sorry, do you
correct?
want to admit his exhibits?
Yes. Oh, I thought I said that, I'm sorry.
That's good.
Move the land, I'd like to admit the land exhibits 1, 2, and 3, as well as Exhibit 9 for case 31261.
The exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Okay, now you can proceed.
Okay, sorry. Mr. Daniele, are exhibits 4 and 5 in case 31261 the same ones you presented in the first case?
Yes, sir, with the differing lands of question.
And that's the only difference?
That's correct.
I would ask that exhibits 4 and 5 be admitted into the record.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
Okay, Mr. Shivey, is exhibit 6 the same exhibit that you testified to in 31260?
It is.
Moving to exhibit 7, explain the development plan on this proposed spacing unit, which is different than the prior hearing.
This is a laydown unit, 22, 23, 24 section. We still propose 5 wells evenly spaced within the unit. So the only difference is the orientation of the DSU and location.
And exhibit 8 's the same economics
It is?
and the same gas capture affidavit?
Yes.
I would ask that exhibits 6, 7, 8, and be admitted into record. 9 already has been.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Eric or Mark, spud for this pad?
So I would say we don't necessarily have a spud date for these first 3 cases. The first pad that we're going to spud will be the 4th case, and that will be in April of 2025.
Okay.
And once we see how that pans out, then we will work our way between the other 3.
What's your evaluation period going to be?
I believe 6 months.
Okay, thanks.
Correct.
That was Mr. Shivey that confirmed the 6-month evaluation period. Okay.
You can proceed to the next case.
Okay, next case is case 31262. Mr. Johnson, please move to exhibit 2 and explain the contents of that exhibit.
Exhibit 2 on case 31262, again, shows the 4 cases in question here this afternoon. And in red, you'll see sections 25, 26, and 27 of the proposed 1920.
And moving to exhibit 3, what is the working interest ownership of Phoenix in this proposed unit?
Currently in sections 25, 26, and 27 of 16295, Phoenix has a 53.2% working interest.
And just to reiterate some of the discussions we've had today, Phoenix is proposing this spacing unit to capture section 25 that you believe would otherwise be stranded.
Yes, sir.
I would ask that exhibits 1, 2, and 3 be admitted into the record together with the gas capture affidavit, which he testified to as the same one that in all cases.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Sections 26 and 35 are a stand-up 1280 and the last of the undeveloped spacing units in this area. Would you want that one terminated?
Yes.
Thank you.
You can proceed.
Okay, Mr. Daniele, are exhibits 4 and 5 the same as in the last 2 hearings, with the exception of the highlighted spacing unit?
That's correct.
I would ask that exhibits 4 and 5 be admitted into the record for case 31262.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
Mr. Shivey, moving to exhibit 7, would you please describe the development plan for this proposed spacing unit?
Yes, this is going to be a laydown 19-20 acre spacing with, again, 5 wells for full development, batch drilled at the same time.
And the economics in Exhibit 8 are the same?
Those are exactly the same, identical to the other two exhibits.
I would ask that Exhibits 6, 7, and 8 be admitted into the record together with Exhibit 9.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? And you can proceed to the next case.
Okay, this is case 31263. Mark, moving to Exhibit 2, please describe the lands that are subject to this application.
Okay, Exhibit 2 in case 31263, again, shows the four units in question today, and in red, you'll see sections 33, 34, and 35, which are the topic of this case.
And moving on to Exhibit 3, what is Phoenix's working interest in this proposed unit?
Exhibit 3 of case 31263, sections 33, 34, and 35. Phoenix currently owns a 82.8% working interest in this unit.
And as a follow-up to the questions from the staff, when does Phoenix anticipate drilling the wells in this spacing unit if it is approved by the commission?
This 1920 spacing unit is currently on our drill schedule for April of 2025, and all 5 wells will be drilled at one occupation.
Okay, I have no further questions for Mr. Johnson, and will ask that Exhibits 1, 2, 3 be admitted to the record and tender him for Ashley's questions.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff?
Oh,
You can proceed.
okay. Mr. Daniele, the only difference between Exhibits 4 and 5 are the highlighted spacing unit, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
I would ask that Exhibits 4 and 5 be admitted into the record.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? You can proceed.
Mr. Shivey, moving to Exhibit 7, please describe the development program for this proposed spacing unit, which will be the first one drilled out of the 4.
Yes, this proposed 1920 laid-out spacing unit, 33, 34, and 35, would be developed similarly to the other submittals. 5 wells, the DSU would be batch drilled. And again, this would likely start in April of 2025.
And you heard the staff ask the time frame for evaluating before moving to the other spacing units. Would you tell the staff how long you anticipate producing these wells to evaluate them for purposes of determining future development?
Yes, similar to Mark's answer, we would wait about 6 months to determine if we fully develop the remaining DSUs.
Okay, I would ask that Exhibit 6, 7, and 8 be admitted into the record, and the gas capture affidavit already has been.
Exhibits are admitted. Any questions from the staff? Okay, that concludes our hearing for case numbers 31260, 31261, 31262, and 31263. Case number 31264, application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Little Knife Lock and Pool to establish a 1920 acre spacing unit described as sections 5, 8, and 17, Township 144 North, Range 98 West, Billings County, North Dakota, and to authorize 4 wells, horizontal wells, to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to the November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 31264. Case number 31265, application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Charlie Bob and/or Little Knife Bakken pools to establish a 2560 acre spacing unit described as sections 14, 23, 26, and 35, Township 145 North, Range 98 West, Mackenzie County, North Dakota, and to authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to the November hearings. That concludes our hearing for case number 31265. Case number 31266, application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Ranch Creek and/or Charlie Bob Bakken pools to establish a 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 6, 7, and 18, Township 145 North, Range 98 West, and Section 31, Township 146 North, Range 98 West, McKenzie County, North Dakota, and to authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled in such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to our November hearings. The case concludes our hearing for case number 31266. Case number 31267, application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Ranch Creek and/or Charlie Bob Bakken pools to establish a 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 21, 28, and 33, Township 146 North, Range 98 West, and Section 4, Township 145 North, Range 98 West, McKenzie County, North Dakota, and to authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes the hearing for case number 31267. Case number 31238. Application of Phoenix Operating LLC for an order amending the applicable orders for the Ranch Creek / Charlie Bob Bakken pool to establish a 2560-acre spacing unit described as sections 29 and 32, Township 146 North, Range 98 West, and sections 5 and 8, Township 145 North, Range 98 West, McKenzie County, North Dakota, to authorize 4 horizontal wells to be drilled on such unit and granting such other relief as may be appropriate. This case has been continued to our November hearings. That concludes the hearing for case number 31238, and that concludes our hearings for the day.